streaming?
Yes. I don't know if anyone can see us yet, though. Yeah?
Can I put my seltzer right here?
Sure. All right, we are live. Play my intro music here. I'm blowing this up so I can just see, have some idea of how many of you are here. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the second edition of Quarantunes for kids of all ages. I've got a live studio audience today. Facebook has a new format. I'm trying to see if you're talking to me yet. I can't see that. Is anyone? I see that a few of you are watching. That's cool. But it's not showing me comments. I'm trying to figure this out. Stay with me here. I am the head engineer. You can just make yourself comfortable. So yeah, got a live studio audience today. Things are getting fancy here. Where are you going?
I don't know.
Sit down and get comfortable there. My daughter Mackenzie is going to hang out with us and watch the lesson. Today's lesson is on Bob Dylan. And as a reward, she doesn't have to practice her clarinet today. She's pretty excited about that. Let's see here. So last time, I was talking about Woody Guthrie, and the feedback that I got was that you would prefer less talk, more rock. But Bob Dylan, man, there's a lot to say about Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan had a huge influence on pretty much everyone I know in music, and pretty much all the people that I know and respect. Do you know who Bob Dylan is, Mackenzie?
Yeah.
You do know who Bob Dylan is?
I think
You've heard of him? Yeah. You've probably heard of him. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan was born Robert Allen Zimmerman in May of 1941 in Duluth, Minnesota. And he is one of the most important and influential songwriters of the 20th century. You can hear the influence of Bob Dylan in a lot of my songs, and as I said before, in the music of most of my musical heroes from yesterday and today. Now, in his formative years, young Robert Zimmerman appears to have lived a somewhat typical middle-class upbringing in a close-knit Jewish community of Hibbing, Minnesota. And he played in several bands throughout high school, performing covers of popular music at the time, like Little Richard and Elvis Presley. And in 1959, Bob headed to the city of Minneapolis and enrolled at the University of Minnesota. He joined a predominantly Jewish fraternity during that time, and his musical interests began to drift away from rock and roll and into folk music. Now, he loved rock and roll. He loved the rhythm, the catchphrases, the energy, the excitement, but he yearned for the deeper spectrum of emotions and the intellectual texture of folk music. You know, there's a lot more room to tell your story in folk music, and that appealed to young Robert Zimmerman. Now, during that time, he started playing around Minneapolis in the folk music circuit, and he started calling himself Bob Dylan after discovering the poetic works of Dylan Thomas. And later in life, Bob explained his name change like this. He said, "You're born, the wrong names, the wrong parents. I mean, it happens. You call yourself what you want to call yourself. This is the land of the free." I thought that was pretty funny. It was pretty true. Well, in the interest of less talk, more rock, I'm going to play one of my favorite Bob Dylan songs and tell you more about it in just a little bit. let's see here. See if this is the right key for me. Ain't no use. Yeah, that is the right key. Have the capo moving all over the place here. Well, it ain't no use to sit and wonder why, babe, if you don't know by now. Ain't no use to sit and wonder why, babe, it don't matter anyhow. The rooster crows at the break of dawn. Look out your window and I'll be gone. You're the reason I'm traveling home. So don't think twice, it's alright. Ain't no use in turning on your light, babe. That light I never know. It ain't no use in turning on your light, babe. I'm on the dark side of the road. I wish there was something you would do or say to make me change my mind up and stay. We never did too much talking anyway, so don't think twice, it's alright. Ain't no use in calling out my name, babe, like you never done before. Ain't no use in calling out my name, babe, I can't hear you anymore. I'm thinking and wandering on the way down the road. Once loved a woman, she's a child, I'm told. I gave her my heart, she wanted my soul. So don't think twice, it's alright. That's the Kruger Brothers turnaround right there. I'm walking down that long, lonesome road, babe, where I'm bound I can't tell, but goodbye's too good a word, babe. I'll just say fare thee well. I ain't saying you treated me unkind, you could have done better, but I don't mind. You just kinda wasted my precious time, so don't think twice, it's alright. Oh, don't think twice, it's alright. You probably heard that song, right? Yeah, I love that song. You like that song, Mackenzie?
Yeah.
It's all right. Does it remind you of any pop songs that you like?
I don't know.
The chords are very similar to the chords of 2002 by Anne Marie. They've been using those 4 chords for a long time now. So, yeah, Bob. He started calling himself Bob Dylan during his freshman year of college. And that same year in the spring, in May, he quit school and he left Minneapolis for the city of New York to go play music and to go meet his hero, his musical hero. And you remember On Tuesday, we talked about Woody Guthrie. Well, I'm not sure there's anyone in this world that was more impressed or more influenced by Woody Guthrie than Bob Dylan. Bob was quoted as saying, "The songs themselves had an infinite sweep of humanity in them. He was the true voice of the American spirit," and Bob said to himself, "I am going to be his devoted disciple." And he started writing songs along those lines. I'm going to jump ahead, play a song that maybe you can sing along with if you feel like it. You'd probably make your parents proud if they heard you singing along with this one. And that goes for if you're my age or if you're my daughter's age. It's just a good song. I'm going to have a sip of water. So that's good for singing. Careful there, Kins. You guys, I'm filming this on my iPhone right now. Hello, Instagram Live. So that I can post it later, because the videos have not been posting to Facebook. So I want to make sure that I can get it up there for posterity here. See if I can remember that. Upon a time you dressed so fine, threw the bums a dime in your prime. Didn't you? People call, say beware, die. You're bound to fall. You thought they were all kidding you. You still laugh about everybody that was hanging out. Now you don't talk so loud. Now you don't seem so proud about having to be scrounging for your next meal. How does it feel? How does it feel to be without a home, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone? Oh, you got into all the finest schools, alright, and it's lonely. Now you know you only get juiced in it. Nobody's ever taught you how to live on the street. Now you're only gonna have to get used to it. You say never compromise with a mystery tramp, but now you realize it's selling any alibis when you stare into the vacuum of his eyes and says, do you want to make a deal? How does it feel? How does it feel to be without a home, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone? You got all those? You got that chorus now? You never heard before. It's pretty easy. How does it feel? How does it feel to be without a home, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone? And that's good. You never turn around to see the frowns on the jugglers and the clowns when they all did tricks for you. You never understood that it ain't no good. You shouldn't let other people get their kicks for you. Used to ride a chrome horse with your diplomat who carried on a soldier's Siamese cat. Ain't it hard when you discover that he wasn't really where it's at after he took from you everything that he could steal? How does it feel? How does it feel to be without a home? Like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone. Oh, the princess and the steeple, all the pretty people, they all drinking and thinking that they got it made, exchanging all kinds of precious gifts. But you better take that diamond ring, you better pawn it, babe. Used to be so amused at Napoleon in rags and the language that he used. Go to him now, he calls and you can't refuse. When you ain't got nothing, you got nothing to lose. You're invisible now, you got no secrets to conceal. How does it feel? How does it feel to be on your own, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone, like a rolling stone, like a rolling stone. Like a rolling stone. Yeah, Bob Dylan had a way with words, and he still does. When I was a kid, I didn't know what he was talking about, but for some reason, that music spoke to me. Now, after a year and a half of living in New York and playing around the folk scene in Greenwich Village, Bob Dylan was signed to Columbia Records. And in, let's see, I guess it was the spring of 1962, he put out his first record. It was self-titled, called Bob Dylan, and it was a collection of blues and gospel and traditional songs. Only had two original songs of his on there, and it was kind of a flop. He sold 5,000 copies, which in today's world where everybody streams their music on Spotify and Apple Music, 5,000 records sold is a lot of records. But in those days, not a lot of records. It was a flop. But with the support of John Hammond and country superstar Johnny Cash, you know, the guy who sings Folsom Prison and Jackson and Ring of Fire, Bob Dylan managed to stay on Columbia Records. And it's a good thing, too, because his second record, The Freewheelin' Bob Dylan, which featured that first song that I played for you, Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, that record did all right. And it became arguably one of the more important works, an original song to come out of America, maybe ever. Had a huge influence, and it sold 300,000 copies in its first week. The album was a collection of entirely original work, and it reflected everything that was going on in the world at the time, with razor-sharp wit, insight, and humor. No one had ever heard anything like it. Now, since then, Bob Dylan has gone on to record and release 36 more studio albums and hundreds of other live albums, compilations, singles, and movie soundtracks. And he's 78 years old today, and he still maintains a really busy tour schedule, which I think is pretty impressive, and another one of the reasons why I consider him to be a hero. Well, another song from the Freewheelin' Bob Dylan, which I think is kind of a good sing-along and is kind of a good kind of reflection on the times, is called Blowin' in the Wind. I think it was Peter, Paul, and Mary that turned it into a great big smash hit. They were a folk trio, and they sang harmonies. Let's see here.
Daddy.
Well, you got a question from my studio audience. Yeah, Mackenzie?
Did Peter, Paul, and Mary do If I Had a Hammer?
They do, yes, that's right. Peter, Paul, and Mary, also famous for If I Had a Hammer. Let's see here. Another thing Bob Dylan likes to do is he likes to play the harmonica. Now, I'm not a great harmonica player, so I apologize in advance. But I don't think a lot of people would argue that Bob Dylan is a great harmonica player either. Let's see what key we got here. Yeah. A little out of tune here. How many roads must a man walk down before ye call him a man? And how many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Yes, and how many years can a mountain exist before it's washed to the sea? Yes, and how many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? Yes, and how many times must a man turn his head and pretend that it just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Yes, and how many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? Yes, and how many years must one man have before he can hear people cry? Yes, and how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Good stuff, right? How many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? How many ears must one man have before he can hear people cry? And how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? Bob Dylan wrote that while the Vietnam War was raging, And a lot of Americans were asking themselves, why does this keep happening? Why is it going on? Our reasons for being involved were not clear then to most Americans, and there was a lot of frustration over it. And I think Bob Dylan had a really great way of expressing his frustration and his confusion in a way that was productive. It was not inflammatory, but it got people asking questions and asking the right questions, which is probably something we could carry into today. So, as I said, Bob Dylan's made a lot of records. He's influenced a lot of people. Jimi Hendrix, Johnny Cash, Eric Clapton, Bruce Springsteen. They're all massive fans of Bob Dylan. So are Guns N' Roses, The Grateful Dead, Tom Petty, new bands like Dawes and the Lumineers. It's hard to find a songwriter that's not a fan of the guy. As I said before, Bob Dylan's music spoke to me when I was a little kid, and it spoke to me in a really profound way. I didn't always know exactly what he was talking about, and I still don't. But his words seem to conjure imagery and connection that is pulled effortlessly and subconsciously from the collective intelligence of all people and the history of people. And it's a pretty amazing thing. I've seen several interviews over the years where interviewers will ask Bob what he means by a song or by a lyric. And his response is always along the same lines. He says, well, what do you want to know what it means to me? What's it mean to you? That's what's important. And I think he's right. Songs can mean different things to different people, and that is the thing. Maybe the melody hits everybody the same way, but when it comes to the way the lyric and the melody kind of work together, it affects us all differently. But we can all sit in a room together and enjoy a song together, and that brings us closer than a lot of things can. All right, here's kind of a fun Bob Dylan song called "You Ain't Going Nowhere," and I still don't know what the heck he was talking about, but I like it, and I used to play it when I was in college. I used to play in bars, and I don't know, for some reason this got people kind of fired up. Clouds so swift, the rain won't lift, the gate won't close and the railings froze. Get your mind off of summertime, you ain't going nowhere. Ooh-wee, ride me high, tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Whoa, oh, oh, we gonna fly down in an easy chair. Well, I don't care how many letters they send. The morning came and the morning went. Get your money and pack up your tent. You ain't going nowhere. Ooh-wee, ride me high. Tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Whoa, oh, oh, we gonna fly down in an easy chair. Well, buy me a flute and a gun that shoots, tailgates and substitutes. Strap yourself to a tree with roots. You ain't going nowhere. Ooh-wee, ride me high. Tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Whoa, oh, oh, we gonna fly down in an easy chair. Well, Genghis Khan, he could not keep all his men supplied with sleep. We will climb that hill no matter how steep when we get back up to it. Ride me high, tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Whoa, oh, oh, we gonna fly down in an easy chair. Ooh, we ride me high, say my bride's gonna come. Whoa, oh, oh, we gonna fly down in an easy chair. Now my dad had a recommendation. He said, you should teach him how to play some chords, which I said, oh, maybe I should. So I'm going to show you something that's important. When you're thinking about Bob Dylan, most of his chords are just 3 chords. They're the G chord, the C chord, and the D chord. And occasionally he throws an A minor in. And if those chords don't sound good down here on the bottom of the fretboard of the guitar, what Bob Dylan liked to do is take one of these things right here, a capo. That's a capo. Important life knowledge right here. Capo, and then he would just strap it here on the neck where it made sense to do so for his voice. I'm going to sing one of my songs that I think was probably influenced by Bob Dylan more than anyone else. It's got a lot of words, a lot of verses, and I guess kind of like Bob Dylan, reflective of what was going on in my life. And up until that point and at that time, it's called Labor Day Blues. My birthday came a day too late, 'cause my old man could not cheat fate. He was wrapped in pride and never wanted to wait. But another night, another song pulled me one. It's been too long, let's stay and talk a while about the past. Ain't it just bittersweet how the river rolls? The services were short and sweet, beautiful but incomplete. The faces in the crowd seemed so at peace. I didn't think I'd see her there. It didn't occur to me she would care. She was standing in a stained glass sun, just crying. She's here today, but she'll be gone tomorrow. It's how the river rolls. Up all night, writing songs, doing my best to get along. But sometimes you're safer when you're wrong. And I swear I did my best that day. I tried so hard to pull away. Nobody wants to be when you're down. It's relentless how the river rolls. And I'm not sure when that lonesome wind crept up again. I'd pray for it to stop and it began. And the rain came down like a hurricane. In my head it was just the same. I remembered all the nights I spent alone. Yes, I found cold comfort in how the river rolls. Now grindstone girls to the best said Sue. She said it like I already knew. Yes, I said, you know I've loved you. And then she grabs me by my hand and she leads me through that white sand, and we stare for a while at the moon. So darn beautiful how the river rolls. So damn beautiful how the river rolls. Thanks, guys. So that's my little lesson on Bob Dylan. I hope you learned something, and I hope you'll, if you're not familiar, I hope you'll go out and check out some of his records and make his music part of your life. I think you'll be happy you did. My favorite records are Freewheelin', Desire, Blood on the Tracks. Those are probably my top three. But they're all pretty darn good. They all have something to offer. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back Monday night here on Facebook for my Monday Night Live. If you got request songs of mine you haven't heard in a while, throw them up there on the internet. I'm listening. I would love to see you there. These concerts have been kind of my favorite part about this whole experience. I think that we're connecting in a good way, and I think that social media is kind of being used for good. People are starting to show the best versions of themselves out here. So be good to each other. Focus on what's important. We're going to be okay. I promise everything is going to be okay. It's going to take a minute, that's all. But keep in touch. And actually, if you want to hear some of my original songs, I'll be singing tonight on Shut In and Sing. If you go to shutinandsing.com, you can get a ticket for that. It's a pay what you want thing. But I'm playing right after the legendary Kim Ritchie, which is pretty exciting. And Meg Toohey, who does guitars for Sarah Bareilles' Waitress show, is going to be playing that tonight as well. But thank you guys so much. I'm sorry I'm not responding in time to the comments. I'm still trying to figure this out. But I am recording this, and I'm going to get this up on Facebook and Instagram shortly if you feel like revisiting. Thanks again, you guys. Be well.